Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Edgar Soto. Unfortunately, Beely was unable to be here with us today, but alongside me, we still got Henry Cruz. And today we have a very special guest, one of the best wrestlers to grace a wrestling ring, and a lady you do not want to mess with, the one and only Lisa Marie Varon.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I like the name of your guys' podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the gentleman, the sunset flip, not the pile driver or anything like power bomb or anything, but the gentle sunset flip.
Right. When we first started, we kind of like struggle on the name, and our other host who couldn't be here today, he was like, what about Sunset Flip? And I was like, I like it.
Perfect. Yeah, because everybody owns everything in this industry, right?
Yeah,
it's hard to find a unique name. I know.
Yeah, it's like pile driver, DDT, suplex,
Wrestle Talk, like it's all, yeah, exactly. But thank you for guys for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. So quick story. I actually met you a few years back in 2018. You were booked on the big event in Queens, New York, and you were already on the list of wrestlers that I had in mind to meet. But that day when I was entering the show floor, I was wearing a Puerto Rico baseball hat, and all I hear is Boricua, Boricua, and it happened to be you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys stick out like a sore thumb. Yes. My dad's born in Puerto Rico but raised in New York. So New York, you know, the New Yorkans, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to stick together.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to the East Coast actually this weekend. And my brother was like, "Are you going to get with the Gonzalez family, which are my cousins from the Bronx?" And I was like, "Dude, I have 2 appearances a day, and it's driving between each show. It's like an hour drive." And I'm like, I don't want to tell them to meet me somewhere, and I don't even get a chance to chit chat. That's rude, So, but yeah. Yes.
I believe I even had you sign like the flag, because I came. Yeah, I had the Puerto Rican flag because there were other superstars there, and then I had no idea about you being Puerto Rican, and I have a flag filled with signatures from Puerto Rican athletes.
Yeah.
So I was like, might as well include your name.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. A lot of people don't know. They assume I'm Italian or Greek or something like that. So it's the dark hair and stuff it's okay. But when I see the Puerto Rican flag, I'm like, oh, I have to say something. Yes, I'm proud. But Carlito calls me kayfabe Puerto Rican because I don't speak Spanish. Yes. I know, isn't that terrible?
Don't worry, I'm in the same club. I don't speak Spanish either. So,
are you from New York?
Yes, I live in PA now.
New Yorkers don't speak Spanish. The Puerto Ricans, isn't that funny? My dad's side of the family does. I don't. I even took Spanish for 4 years. Did I absorb anything? No. You don't practice it at home. It's hard, Yeah.
So, tell me, how'd you get into wrestling in the first place?
It was an accident. I used to work on removing corneas, saphenous vein, bone, middle ear, and I was cutting through fat and stuff like that. And coming from a family that likes to eat, and I was like, "Is this my future?" Because there were people passing away too young, and so I got addicted to working out, thinking that that's my future, and started competing in fitness competitions. That's where I met Tori Wilson and Trish Stratus, and started doing personal training. Shipped here, moved a lot with my ex-husband, and we didn't have kids, so we were like, "Oh, this is great. Let's go to Miami. It's great there. Let's go to Chicago. Let's, all that kind of stuff." And I met China. Tori brought me backstage at WCW, tried to get me in the business. So I was like, "You get paid to walk a guy to the ring? Are you kidding me?" And she, at that time, they weren't hiring and stuff like that. And I met China at a health club while I was personal training in Los Angeles, West Hollywood at Crunch Gym. And I ended up approaching her and I said, "Hey, I have a couple friends that are in your industry, Trish Stratus and Tori Wilson." And she asked me, since I was so jacked and, that kind of thing. And she asked me, she goes, "Oh, are you a wrestler? You have a really good look for it." And I'm like, "No, but I think I can do what Rey Mysterio and Rob Van Dam do," because I was a gymnast. So I was always, 3 older brothers, always an athlete, and just just part of our family, you know what I mean? And she goes, wow, you should really send in your stuff. I paid $600 to get a VHS tape made of all the stuff I've done, my fitness competitions, the news, me personal training, magazine cover, like the Muscle Mag, because when you're competing in fitness, you're doing a lot of photo shoots for free. They say it's for exposure, but it's to get, they want a free model, you know what I mean? And I heard back in a month. They said, we would like to meet you at Staples Center. And do I wrestle? And I was like, no, but I'm an athlete. I think I can pick it up. My 3 older brothers were all collegiate wrestlers, and my oldest went to the Olympics. And so it's kind of in our blood, but they did not the entertaining kind of wrestling. And I Googled pro wrestling school. One came up, UPW. Was going to wrestling school thinking that I can make it to WWF at the time, learning how to wrestle in a month. It doesn't happen. I used to think it was like a dance routine or a gymnastics routine, and it's not like that at all. And to my surprise, it was, they beat the crap out of me. I'll be honest with you, but tried it. Of course, people are saying you're not going to make it. You don't have an experience in this, and it makes you work harder. And the Godfather was looking for 2 permanent hosts, and it was me and a girl her real name was Frosty, but on the show they gave her Mandy, and I was given the name Victoria. And he was wanting 2 girls that permanently on the O train. Met his wife, and then Godfather, and got the okay from the wife, and that was the foot in the door. I was still going to wrestling school on my days off and stuff. So didn't think it was good. My parents were like, I wanted to go to med school, and they were like, what about school? And I'm like, me, 3 months, I'm going to get bored of this. It's not going to be my thing. And I'm going to go into something else. But it bit me in the butt. Like I got the bug, and I come from a family that when you don't get something, you work hard and you go 110% and try to get the craft. And I loved it, and was just a sidekick when I was first brought onto TV. And Godfather had to turn on the hose, and went to RTC, right to censor. And they said, we need to throw one of you girls through the table. And I go to wrestling school. Didn't know it was going to take me off TV, but it was a blessing in disguise, because they moved me to Memphis. Jerry Lawler said, hey, you need to move to Memphis. We have a really good wrestling school out there, and it's WWF developmental territory. Was there for a year with all these amazing, everybody made it in that school. That school closed down. I got sent to OVW, and even to a better school with Danny Davis, Jim Cornette, and that school was, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Sheldon Benjamin, Eugene, Rob Conway, Batista, John Cena. Like, everybody in that class was a top athlete and had the it factor, and I learned from the best. And Eugene and Rob Conway met me, 3 hours before our classes began, just to work with a rookie, so I could, I didn't know what a sunset flip was. I didn't know, headlock takeover, and I didn't know, the locking up, running the ropes, and learning the footing, when you lock up, so you don't look like a rookie. And there was just so much, I'm glad that I got sent to all those schools, and was always getting called to get brought up, and then they would change their mind. And which I was very thankful. At that time, I was, my feelings were hurt. I was like, oh my God. And I thought I was being tested, to be honest with you. How badly does she want it? We'll send her to the airport and then send her back home. And this happened a few times. And every time I came back to the school, they're like, what, again? And I'm like, I think I'm being tested. And I'm glad they waited so long, because when you get brought up, you still feel green. Even though you train under the best, it's a different breed when you go to that big stage. You know what I mean? And my goodness, holy crap. It was an incredible career. I worked my ass off, and Fit Finley was our agent, basically our coach. And he made us. He was like going, oh my gosh, you really wrestle psychotic. And so that's how I got the psycho character. And I go, well, I just wrestle Memphis style. It's very exaggerated. And thank God for Fit Finley. He made all of our characters and believed in us. He was giving us girls. He thought it was a rib, like a joke. Like, okay, you're new as an agent. Let's give him the girls. And he goes, all right, give me the girls. I'm going to make them fighters. I'm going to make them fight. And he did. He took us on his wing, and he was like our father on the road. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how it happened. Long story.
But
yeah,
it's absolutely fascinating, and I need to know more on the origin of the Widow's Peak, because that's easily one of the most devastating finishers we have ever witnessed.
Okay, so I didn't have a finisher when I became a wrestler, and it's hard to find a unique finisher because everybody does every move. It's hard to come up, Molly Holly saw Roderick Strong at an indie show, and he invented the Widow's Peak, Roderick Strong. She came back to TVs and she goes, Victoria, I have a finisher for you. And she walked me through it. She goes, hey, okay, hook my neck. I'm going to grab your wrist, drop to your butt. And I'm like, what? Your neck is like on my shoulder and you're going to land on your knees. And we did it. Everybody was out by the ring. And even Vince goes, are you okay? And then she got up and she goes, hey, do you guys like that finisher for Victoria? And there you go. That's how it happened. And they wanted to shave my head. Sarge's brilliant idea wanted me to be like G.I. Jane. And I was like, please don't shave my head. It protects my face and it makes us like make more moves. You use your hair movement a lot and go, and I said, my finisher is called the Widow's Peak, which is after my hairline. This is what's the Widow's Peak. So I just came up with that on the spot, and they didn't shave my head. And that's how the Widow's Peak occurred. Yeah. So Roderick Strong, I always do a shout out. Thank you, Roderick Strong and Molly Holly.
I love it.
That put me on the map because it is a devastating finisher. And for a girl to do something that devastating made me different.
Absolutely. Anytime you were, on TV wrestling, it's like everyone expected, oh, when is that finisher coming? Because it's like a must-see TV.
I know I did when I was a kid, so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. When I would hook it, I would wait. I was like, come, like, I would scream before it, let the crowd react, hit it. You know what I mean? It was goose pimples, even for me, So yeah, I'm very thankful.
And you had a major feud with another legend, Trish Stratus, early in your career, in which you beat Trish and captured your first WWE Women's Championship. I believe it was in a hardcore match at Survivor Series.
Yes, 2002 Madison Square Garden. Yes,
right. Yes. What was going through your mind?
Oh my God, it was a lot of pressure because when you're finding out you're getting the championship belt, it's almost a pat on your back that you're doing a good job. You know what I mean? But when you have the belt, your target is on your back because we only had one match a night, and so you're the next girl. I want to be the next champion. That match is like mostly everybody's favorite match, and it's not mine because I broke my nose, chipped this half of this tooth is fake. I got a big lump on my head, and there was a lot of, when I watch it, I was like, oh, that was supposed to this. The finisher was supposed to be me taking the mirror and crushing over her head because, I was talking to myself in the mirror as a psychotic character.
Right.
And when I threw her off the rope, she stepped on the mirror and it broke. And I went to go grab the mirror. I go, son of a gun. I know there's a fire extinguisher underneath the ring. I grabbed the wrong one. They're both real. One just didn't have the pin in it. So I grabbed the one with the pin and she's pulling my hair. Get in, screw it, just get in. I go, no, I got it. And I got it. And I sprayed her and I should have just rolled her up right there. But my favorite move, like of all time, was the suplex, and I pinned her with a suplex. And me being a rookie, that I thought I didn't want to beat her with just a roll up because I'm like, this is Trish Stratus. I need to give her a move. And I didn't have my finisher at the time. And I should have just rolled her up because she was distracted by the CO2, coming out of it. And that really, like when I sprayed it, we both couldn't breathe because it sucks out the oxygen. Because they're both real, and, oh my gosh, it was insanity. And at Madison Square Garden, it's a heel crowd. They love the heels.
Yeah.
They weren't booing Trish because, no one's going to boo Trish. But I was so thankful. That was the historic building that I won my first championship belt. But I knew from then on, it's going to get serious now. Like I have a target on my back and that's when I did break my nose, the ref goes, "Do you want me to end it? Do you want me to give the signal?" And I'm like, "Hell no, I'm getting the belt." I go, "No way." Of course I didn't say this. I'm like, "F you." That's what I said. And my eyes were watering. And I just said, "Tell her to stay away," and continued the match. From then on, we were getting Lita and we had a ladder match. Then we had Trish and I had the Chicago street fight. And every time we came to TV, we would kind of have anxiety going, holy moly, we pulled off that hardcore match. Now what are you going to have? Like, not the ladder match, the cage match. And just all these, like, it's very flattering when they're like, "Hey, Victoria, you have this match." And you're like going, you always think they're kidding. Are you joking? They're like, "No, seriously, it's flattering." Not my favorite matches because injury could occur. That's when you get seriously hurt, because all the items that we're using, they're not fake. The table's real. Like, the Singapore cane stings like a mother jumper, and you don't practice these moves. You just go, you better freaking protect your nose, or, you got to go with it. You know what I mean? And
at that moment,
you
you
know what I
just have
mean?
to.
At the moment. And the adrenaline, thank God for adrenaline, you don't realize the pain you're in until you get home. You know what I mean? Because, we would do pay-per-view, then go to Raw, then we would go to SmackDown, and then go home. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
that's
crazy.
A schedule.
But also, like, I was very thankful working with Stevie Richards, having him, like, having a guy as your sidekick was, he was he loved it. He loved it. He goes, "If I can do a match without damaging my body so much and be the character that people don't want," we made a great duo. Him and I never went over anything. It was organic. Just go with the flow. Whatever you feel, do it.
Say you guys complimented each other, and then like suddenly, the alliance or partnership, it kind of like faded, and when wrestling fans wondered, well, what happened.
The fans started cheering for Victoria. Right. I didn't want to turn babyface. I thought they were going to put me through therapy, and maybe I had gymnastics, and I took dance as a kid. Maybe they would taken me through therapy and take dance lessons, and I come back as a dancer, but then occasionally get that tick. But the fans were cheering for me, and they're like, "We have to turn you babyface." They're not turning on you, and that makes the heel a hard job. My job is to get you guys to hate me, and you to love the freaking baby face. That's my job. And and I was like, wait, Kane and Undertaker, all these big guys, they were heels, and I love the heels. And there's certain fans that love heel characters. You know what I mean? And it wasn't my decision, but you don't argue back. It's entertainment. You want your spot, and you're like, okay, whatever you guys want, I'm going to make this, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. Did I like being a baby face? No. But I wanted to be in the ring. I wanted to wrestle. You know what I mean? Right. There was no explanation why I turned and stuff like that. It's because people were cheering for me, and that's why it died. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate all the opportunities and stuff like that, but it sucked because we were really getting a momentum on that. And Stevie and I just killed it as a couple. And to work with somebody you have that chemistry with and all that, and he became Sunday Night Heat manager, and we were king and queen of Sunday Night Heat because Al Snow ran it, and Al Snow was a big fan of like our wrestling and like how different characters we were, you know what I mean? And so was it our decision? No. And then coming out, like having interactions with a fan, and they're like, "Why did you just what's up with this dancing thing?" And I go, "Well, they asked me what else I'm into." And I go, I do hip hop. Like did hip hop dancing in school, like, and for aerobics and stuff like that. They said, "We want you to do a dance routine when you come in." I was trying to be unique. I was like, okay, let me do a dance routine in the beginning. You know what I mean? Just to be, not just come in and high five at everybody and come in as a baby face. It's hard to choose a character, especially as a baby face, and get the fans to love you. But the fans were very vocal that they didn't like my turn. But, I went with it. It's okay. I had longevity in my career in WWE. I became really good at working with the rookies. making them feel comfortable in the ring, because I had Jazz as a teacher, Finley as a teacher. Jazz was the one that helped me lead a match like in OVW. You know, when I was new and rookie, I would spaz out. I'm sorry, spaz is the wrong word. I would freak out and go, I don't know, what am I doing? What am I doing next? And she would talk to me. All right, baby. All right. Duck the clothesline and that kind of thing. And that's how I learned how to talk to my opponents and make them feel comfortable. It's okay. They don't know what we're doing. They don't know our match. Don't show it on your face. It's improv also, you know, just, we're going to call it. If you forget something, it's not choreographed, but if, I'm going to tell you what to do, you know what I mean? And, make you feel comfortable. And that, I think, was my longevity, was all the new girls felt very comfortable in the ring with me, at ease, especially on TV at live events and stuff like that. But,
yeah, that's the important part. As long as everyone feels safe with whoever you're working with.
Exactly. And for me, like, as a heel, you know, me being a big girl and the base catching everybody, I'd rather hurt myself than them hurt themselves. You know what I mean? I'd rather take the fall, get knocked senseless, because I'm here to protect you. And I'm a bigger girl, so I need to take care of you. I was never known to give receipts where someone accidentally clocks you and you're like, oh, you son of a gun, I'm going to clock you back. No, accidents happen. This is not a routine. This is not dance. This is not ballet. You're going to accidentally knock somebody, you know, silly. But this is the business we chose. You say sorry. You say sorry later after the match. So sorry, I clocked you. I go, whoa, geez, is your nose okay? I actually really punched you. You know what I mean? Or I landed you really wobbly or stuff like that. But it's a tough business, especially for a female, because you don't really complain about, like, you know, you're injured or any pains, because you chose to be in this industry. Aches and pains and bruises, chipped teeth, broken noses are part of the business. Broken AC, you know, torn ACL, that's part of it. You know what I mean? And so people think it's so easy to do what we do until they actually have experience at least just one class or to take one bump.
Right, like on a wrestling school, or
yeah,
right,
yeah, or running the ropes and hitting that hard. You know, those are cables. They're metal, or they're tight ropes, right? And they bruise your back. You know, it's like you're running into a wire. That's what you're getting. You know what I mean? So everything that looks easy hurts like a mother jumper.
You're a wrestler full of firsts, because you mentioned before you faced Lita in the first women's steel cage match in the company's history. And then you're the first woman to defend the women's championship back-to-back WrestleManias. WrestleMania, WrestleMania 19.
I didn't know that.
WrestleMania 19.
Okay.
WrestleMania 19
Jazz
against
and Trish,
right,
Triple
and WrestleMania
threat.
20, Molly Holly.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. And that triple threat. You guys go watch back at WrestleMania 19, Jazz, Trish, and I, and Stevie Richards. That was a good match. I mean, it was so not smooth. I mean, I hate saying smooth, but we were all like,
the chemistry was strong.
Yeah, it was just remarkable. Like
you were in sync.
We were all tough competitors. Poor little tiny Trish, she's half the size of Jazz and I. And but you know, Stevie always wanted to go, you know, miss the chair, boing on that rope, and then take a headshot. He's always wanted to do that spot, so we did that spot. You know what I mean? And it was such a good match. And you know, triple threats, not my favorite match. Those are the most difficult to put together, because you don't want it to look like two single matches. You want all three of you in the ring at the same time, working out, you know, oh shit, that worked out. That, you know, she was in place. Like, you know, that, you know what I mean? Taking opportunity instead of going, okay, let me get out. Okay, let them go do something. Let me trip their leg. Let me come in. You know what I mean? Triple threats are the most difficult match to put together. But of course, we had Finley and Molly Holly, the shaving of the head, WrestleMania 20. She went up to the office and said, "I'm going to be the first girl to shave my head at WWE WrestleMania at a WrestleMania." And they're like, "Okay, wow, she's willing to risk her hair. Who do you want who do you want your opponent to be? And she said, I want Victoria. So that was like,
that's
yeah,
the ultimate sign of respect.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
And I remember watching WrestleMania 20 and I was legit worried for you. I was like, please don't let her shave her head.
I know, of course. Yeah, absolutely. But when I shaved Molly Holly's head, they didn't, the hardest part of that match, shaving her head. Evidently, you have to trim the hair, then shave it. And so I'm the guy that's next to me, the barber. I said, it's not shaving. And he goes, you need to cut it. I go, give me the scissors. We don't have scissors. The referee goes, you need to have her shaved by the time we come back from break. And I'm like cutting her head. And I'm like, look like you're enjoying it. I have to look like I'm like, this is payback. This is payback. And I see blood dripping off her head when I'm cutting it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And, you don't really want to hurt and injure your opponent. This is entertainment. And you're only as good as your opponent. Right. And when I saw her backstage, I go, your head. And she goes, she heard like what we were getting told. And I had to shave her head and pull the hair like through it. Molly Holly is like very patient. She's an agent out on WWE right now. And I remember her calling me. Could you please call me? I have a question for you. I get these a lot from our old timers, our veterans. I have a question for you. And I'm like, oh no, what did I do? Or did I say something on our podcast or something like that? And she goes, WWE asked me to be an agent and come back. And I go, and she goes, what do you think I should do? And I go, Molly, you're knowledgeable. She used to work with us in the ring, grappling. I go, you were so giving in the ring. And this is a part about wrestling. You want to work with somebody that's very giving, not selfish and going, oh, I'm not taking that move. You're freaking 110 pounds. I'm 160. I'm not taking that. It's going to make me look weak.
Right. People
want to work with the giving talent. Now, we'll ask, does this make sense to our agent going, I'm 160. Should I take this move? Well, we'll do it later because they need to wear you down because you're a big girl. You know what I mean? Or a big guy. So psychology is part of that too. And I was like, do it. I go, the worst case is you're there for 3 months and go, you know what? This is not for me. I'm married. I want to stay home a little bit more often. She's all about charity and stuff like that. She ended up loving it. And she's still an agent out there, back, at WWE. And she's an amazing woman, honestly. Too sweet for the business. Too sweet, meaning too kind. I didn't mean this one, but too kind for the business. She's very loving, innocent, super Christian. She doesn't like cursing. She was not, we hated the bikini stuff and that kind of stuff, but
right.
Yeah, I had a lot of first. And it is a pat on the back, but at the same time, that pressure on you, can I pull this off? Am I good enough for this? Because you second guess yourself, you know what I mean? It's like getting ready for a final for school. Did I prepare enough for this? Am I ready? Right. Did I pass? And you're like, you come backstage but there's another match right after you. So they might not give you eye contact going through the gorilla. And so you're just going, oh man, I didn't get eye contact. Was that a crappy match? You know what I mean?
You start you're like, second guessing.
Did I pass? Yeah. So you're like, and also too, I'd like to when you're a rookie, you want to prove yourself. Am I good enough to be here? When you're in the middle of the career, is my repertoire getting better? Am I getting tougher? Am I, showing the company, well, she's changing it up and she's really proving herself to be there, right? When you're a veteran there, the pressure of not making a mistake and working with the rookie, and the rookie makes a mistake, the veteran goes, what happened there? So the veteran gets a little bit of the heat, the backlash of it, going, they're new, you need to carry them, you need to make sure everything's going okay. So throughout your whole entire career, when I was doing indies after I was retired or semi-retired, you know what I mean, thinking I'm done, going back to indies, I still would puke, pace, sweat, and just my hands would shake, because you don't want to go out there at an indie show and go, oh man, do you remember when Victoria or Tara was a badass? What happened? She's slow now. So that pressure of being what you were, that badass bitch. Yeah. you don't want them to be disappointed. So, I always had friends going, if I look like I'm slowing down, don't let me do this anymore. I don't even want to do a Comic-Con and I'm limping, and I'm just signing autographs. I don't want, like when I said Boricua, and if I stood up from the chair, I need to look like a badass when I stood out of the chair to take a picture with you or something. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? It's entertainment, I think in general, is a lot of pressure from start to finish. And when you're done with the business, you still feel that like that person back in the day,
Right.
even though you're doing normal stuff, making dinner, steam cleaning the carpets, doing laundry, pee pads and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But you still, like when you're in public and you get recognized, you're like, oh God, do I look as good as I did before? So there's a lot of pressure for women. You can't age, you can't get gray hair, you can't gain weight, and God forbid us be human. So I'm like, we do look different. You know what I mean? Like when people are like, how many years was this? When they look at my 8x10, I'm like, that's so rude. I mean, like, think before you speak. Like, yeah, I go, that was 20 years ago. I don't look like this. I'm 52 years old. And yes, I have wrinkles. You know what I mean? My metabolism's not skyrocketed. You know what I mean?
I think people forget that, we all, after so many years, everything changes,
Yeah.
For example, like when I was a kid, one of the wrestlers that I looked up to was The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I thought The Undertaker's never going to retire. He's going to wrestle, for forever. And when he actually did retire, I was just like in shock and loss of words.
Yeah. Yeah. To see him walk backstage and like Shawn Michaels, and I'm not burying them because they've done a lot for our business, and there's never going to be those kind of main eventers. I'm not crapping on the new generation at all, but Undertaker was always like, we need you at WrestleMania, we need you to main event. There's no one going to draw like freaking Undertaker. That's freaking Undertaker, dude. Undertaker. Yeah. You don't see, he doesn't change. He's dead. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be that freaking badass character. I was really brokenhearted when he lost against Brock Lesnar. I was at my restaurant, the Square Circle in Chicago.
Still shocking to me.
Yeah. And then so our pay-per-views would sell out in our restaurant because we showed wrestling every day. Okay. And then when he lost, I even was like, I had that guy, remember the guy with the glasses that was like big old eyeballs?
Yeah.
They all looked at me, the customers that,
Right.
came to watch the pay-per-view. We used to have a higher security to keep people. We had a cap of how many people could come in, and they were watching through the window, the pay-per-view, because you're going to watch with fans, right? And they all looked at me. Was that supposed to happen? I go, I don't know. I go, I'm not with the company anymore. I go, because we're still fans too. And I was so upset about that. I disagree about Undertaker losing. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a mistake as well. Yeah. But like you said, Undertaker, he was always coerced about doing main event. And he was like, man, my body, his body's like, he could still kick ass. Don't get me wrong.
Right, but it takes a toll.
Yeah, you're grizzled. Your joints, your knees, your back, everything's like, it's, you're getting older, and but you try not to show it. And he always wanted, like, I want to be done. I want to be done. He wants to be backstage and help the new talent. Right. But the pressure of, he fills in the seats, man. He fills in the seats. There's never going to be another Undertaker.
Wow. Now, you left WWE in 2009, but later returned to compete in the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble. What was that experience like, after being away from the company for so many years?
Okay, to go to TNA, is that what your question is? To Impact Wrestling? Is that what you said?
So you left WWE, and then you were TNA, which I'm going to ask you some questions about TNA, and then you returned to WWE for the Royal Rumble to participate in the Royal Rumble.
Okay, let me cover that all because I can tell the whole story. I did not plan on going to TNA. Okay. Really? I had a 3-month no compete clause. And once my 3-month no compete clause, TNA reached out to me. We would like to have you do an angle. And I go, well, send me the contract. I got to think about it. Well, we want to debut in 3 days. And I'm like, what? Wait, my no compete clause was yesterday, and they called me and I said, send me the contract. I chose to just say, hey, sign me for a year. They wanted to sign me for 3 years. And I go, well, I don't know if I'm going to be happy there. I did watch the product and there was all phenomenal girls there. That's what I said. I want to go. I've never faced a lot of this talent there. I was watching Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and ODB and Beautiful People, Taylor Wilde. There was just so many tremendous wrestlers there. I was like, wow, I never faced this. This is a new brand of cereal for me. You know what I mean? And so I just went there for a year and ended up loving it because I didn't know, when I left WWE, I asked out of my contract. I had 3 more years, but I said, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I was like, I know I'm here for enhancement. And I asked for my release and they were very, very, very good to me. And they said, is there anything we can do for you? And I said, just one last match. And that was against Michelle McCool. And thank you, Michelle McCool. She wanted me to win the match, but it didn't happen. But so went to TNA, amazing talent, different office, not very organized. WWE is it's a powerhouse. There's a division. I mean, there's a department for everything. And I took a huge pay cut to go to TNA just to experience the girls. And amazing locker room. I had a great career, became best friends with most of the people there. And when I got fired from there, I had 6 months left and I got fired from the travel department. We have nothing for you. I think the rumor got out where I was not going to sign again. I was like, it was changing and I was like, there's no new girls coming up. And it's like,
repetitive.
You wanted to build. And like, oh, what girl's coming in? You know what I mean? I want to work with her, and, when I retired from there, when I was done with there, I did indie shows and, for a while I got to pick and choose my opponents. And, but I was, I started the business when I was 29. So my body was taking a toll. I had a torn ACL, still, I never got surgery on it. And, going back, fast forward, the Rumble, they called me 2 weeks prior to the Rumble. Very flattering. I didn't answer it. I saw the 203 area code and I didn't answer. I go, oh my God, it's Connecticut. Did I say something on a podcast? Did I say anything on an interview and anti-WWE? I don't think I have. I don't shit where I eat. I'm very, I still make money off Victoria. I still make money off Tara. I had a long career and I'm very blessed that I was with these major companies. And I ended up calling and they were like, we want to bring you to the Rumble. And I said, when is it? They're like 2 weeks. And I go, I don't work out. I don't get Botox. I don't have fake nails anymore. I don't have my red streak. I don't have my lips injected. Like, I'm not up to the standard where Victoria was. I didn't feel ready, but Mickey and SoCal Val talked me into doing it. Are you kidding me? The fans need closure. They need closure. You need to go back. People have been waiting for this. They've been wondering why you haven't come back. And I go, but 2 weeks, I don't have ring gear. So I got ring gear made in 2 days. From By Jolene, who used to work for TNA, now works for WWE, TNA. And yeah, she's so overbooked. But if you follow her, By Jolene, she's amazing. Went to Rumble. They treated me like a princess. Honestly, someone did a clickbait. I don't know if you saw that. Victoria said when she went back to the Rumble, WWE treated her like shit. And I go, when the heck did they get that quote? Never. That was the first time I went back.
I saw that article. It floated on Twitter.
I'm not gonna lie. I did see, I did see it. I didn't click on the video, but you never trust that until you talk to the person himself or herself.
And I'm very anti-clickbait. This is why most of us don't do podcasts, because you never trust. Like, you're just like going, they're gonna use that freaking one-liner that I didn't even say, but they didn't complete the sentence. And I was very irate about that. I was irate, and someone said, maybe you should correct that. And I go, no, I'm not going to repost that article and say they were false, and people are going to go more traffic to their website. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I was like, no, I should not even bother by that. But I don't want WWE to think that I'm like that kind of character, or TNA to think that I'm kind of character. When I, went to rehearsals, that's when you find out what number you are. Okay, at the NXT, what's it called? The school, the training center.
performance
center. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're waiting for our numbers, and they're like, in number 10, Victoria. And I was like, and everybody's like clapping, and I go, oh my God. And I even went to everybody at Rumble introducing myself. My name's Lisa. I used to be Victoria. And they're like, I know who you are. But you feel like still out of the loop. You still feel like they introduced just out of respect. And they're like, people have been waiting for her to come in. Let her get her shit in. Every move, you guys just feed for her. And I started crying. I go, oh. And I had to pull, Tori Wilson. I didn't even tell her I was at Rumble. I hit it. I didn't even tell my family because I thought they would say on Facebook, good luck in Florida or something like that. Didn't tell anybody. And just at certain close friends of mine. And I had to ask Tori and Nikki, I go, what is my repertoire? What did I used to do back in the day? You did this, you did that, you did this. Where can we stop? You have all these moves. Are you kidding me? And I was like, oh my God. And I was not in shape for it. I'll be honest with you. I was so out of breath. 2 weeks, you cannot go work out at a gym or do cardio at home. You need to prep at a ring. And if they would have called me 2 months prior, I would have probably called Chavo, hey, can you get us a ring? Work with me in the ring. So I don't get winded. You know what I mean? Not doing moves. I can do moves till cows come home, but just to get that endurance, that agility. Right. And
that stamina.
But I went back. It was amazing. I cried, and I was very thankful that it was on all the fans were on the screen. You'll see me coming down the ramp if you watch it back, and I stopped.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. There are actually real faces on the screen because I never seen that real in life. You know what I mean? And I go, wow. I was, of course I was nervous, but I go, people were like, I wish it was in a live audience. And I
was just about to say that.
I go, yeah, I know, but I think I would have been more like, oh shit. If I hear crickets out there, I'm not doing my job. Oh no.
No, it definitely got one of the better reactions of the night.
I was very thankful. And Bailey was like, I'll take it. And then Roxy was, I'm sorry, Ruby, I'll take it. Give me that move. And I go, I gotta wait. You already took 2 moves. They were fans of mine. You know what I mean? And right. To have people going, I want to take that. They wanted to take certain moves. It was like, I felt that was pretty cool. When I took hair mares from Sherry Martel, I was like, you give me, they were like, she goes, I'll give you 3 hair mares. And I kept it when we were in the ring in OVW. I just kept on going again. I think we did 8 because the fans were freaking going bonkers again. And I don't mean to call a legend's moves, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're supposed to lead it, right? And but I was marking out, and I get it.
Yeah, no. Not only they're your fans, but they look up to you because of your body of work. So it's
pretty cool.
I
think when Bailey had the cage match, she tweeted or posted on her social media, she was going over Lita and my cage match to go over like just to see, cage matches are hard. They're so difficult to do. You know what I mean? So is there psychology about it? We don't, it's so hard. You know what I mean? But it was very flattering. Very flattering.
And who did you it could be either WWE or TNA, who did you enjoy working with in the ring the most?
No, that's not fair because I had the same answer to everything. I've had so many different styles. Gail was a flyer. Awesome Kong was a bigger girl than I was, and so was ODB. I think the ones that we tried to crack and make each other laugh was a group of girls like ODB. We both had silly characters. ODB was, you've been there long enough, and you have to pop yourself. You enjoy it, but you're just like, let me try to break the character, right? Mickey James, ODB, Tori, Candice, Michelle. There were so many girls I had fun in the ring. Those were fun because they weren't hardcore, but I had major angles with a lot of girls. So it's not fair for me to say who I enjoyed to work with in the ring because we all had good chemistry. And if we didn't have good chemistry, we worked on it. We became friends. We would ride together to get to know each other, what made each other tick, not in the ring, just personality wise, because you always have great matches with your best friends. Because if you actually give them a black eye, I really didn't mean that. That was an accident. That was
Right.
like I got too excited on my moves, you know. So I was very lucky. I had freaking amazing opponents, man. And Victoria would have not been Victoria, or Tara would have not been Tara or Lisa without these amazing. And I know I sound so cliche and PC, but they made me as much as I made them. So we made each other. It's a dance, man. You're only as good as who's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So speaking of TNA, just going into it, you had a lot of memorable matches in TNA. You had the first ever First Blood match with the late great Daphne.
Daphne, yes.
Yep. You had your first title win in the company against Angelina Love. Yeah, you had the 6 sides of steel cage match with Awesome Kong.
Oh
in
yeah, I
2009.
didn't like that cage. I mean, the six. I mean, not the cage. I didn't like the 6-sided, the octagon.
Yeah.
Ring. That was really hard to. Where am I? Wait, where am I at? I go,
which corner?
Yeah. You also had.
So I had a lot of firsts there, and
Mhm.
I had the spider. I felt very much like Jake the Snake. But when I went to TNA, I took a huge pay cut, and I said, I'll sign a year. We'll renegotiate my contract, and I'll prove to you how much of a hard worker I am. I don't care what match you give me. I want it to be not as a girls match. I want it to be best on the card. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you know, that's tough to say. But I they knew my ethic, my work ethic. You know what I mean? But I had a lot of first and amazing, like 2 cage matches there against Mickey as well. And just a lot of you're right. That blood match, that was my first time. And I go, what are we supposed to do? What the heck? What if I accidentally, like when you're going towards my head, what if my hand slips? I'm done. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of mistakes.
Right, because of sweat or anything like
It's
that.
scary, man. It's scary. Yeah.
I could imagine. And
but I'm very thankful of like my longevity, and I got to experience different companies, and you know, and I'm glad, and I'm happy that there's AEW, ROH, WWE, NXT, TN, Impact Wrestling, sorry. But there's so many companies, Progressive, like New Japan. There's so many companies now. There's more platforms for people to showcase, and more jobs for wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, people were just shooting to get to one place, and that's, you know, there's thousands of people wanting to do that, and then they're hiring 10.
Yeah, I get it. Wrestling is a hard business to get into.
It is.
So let me ask you, since talk about all the other promotions, how do you feel about the current state of the Knockouts division and women's wrestling in general today?
I'm very proud. They can run circles around me. I'll be honest with you. The agility, the athleticism. I don't work that fast. Mine was more character driven and more like me telling the camera guy, zoom in on my face. I'm going to tell a story right here. I'm going to tell you how crazy I am. And I feel like a proud grandma. We're the women's division main eventing, and just, TNA's division. The locker room was amazing when I went back to be. I had a tag match with Gisela on my side in Impact Wrestling. It's always TNA. I'm sorry, it's a habit. Do I want to get in the ring again? No. When people ask, would you go back? I would like to be an agent, a coach, a trainer. I really don't need the limelight. I think I proved myself in my wrestling career. I would like to help. I think I have a lot of knowledge.
Like a coach or a producer?
Yes, I would like to make the next superstar and give my feedback and take them under my wing. I don't need to be on the camera. I had my time. I had my shine. Let the next batch of freaking superstars, showcase, and the younger talent. And I'd like to be a part of that. And that would be a dream job for me. Yeah.
Well, they need to make it happen then. That would be fantastic for you to be coach, producer, or anything like that.
Or maybe they'll watch Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast.
Yeah, right. So
we'll put in a good word. We'll put in a great word.
All right. Thanks, pal. Thanks.
I got another one for you. So, a dream match of yours, is there any that you wanted to have or that was close to happening, and it just, what happened, if anything fell through that didn't cause it to happen?
Honestly, no. I think when people are like, oh, you never had just a ladder match. And I'm like, no. When I watched the girls do the ladder match a few years ago before COVID, I watched it live in San Diego. I was a nervous wreck. I don't enjoy watching that because you're on a mat and those wobbly ladders, like was you don't want to see anybody get really hurt and scary. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I went back to I went to go watch in San Diego a couple months ago an AEW show. This was also another clickbait that I said I was uncomfortable backstage. The reason why, I'm not part of the company. I don't know all the new kids. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not part of this company. Maybe should I be back here? You know what I mean? It's like being a new person back at a company. It's just they're all going over the matches. I don't want to distract. I want to say hello, but I'm like, did I feel uncomfortable? Just the fact that I was like, I'm not an employee here. Maybe people are curious why I'm here. I just went to go support. Sarah
like the first day of school.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And I didn't know a lot of I knew a lot of them, but there was a lot of new kids there. And I was cheering so hard, like in the crowd, and I was popping so big, and I was like, oh my God. The guy next to me looked at me. He goes, is this your first wrestling match?
Oh my God.
How great did you think I felt? I was like, oh wow, geez, I still got it, evidently. But I wore a baseball cap and long sleeves, and I wanted to watch as a fan. I was on the second tier, but I was like, oh, just a knife in my heart going, is this your first wrestling match you ever watched? And I go, no, I just know how hard that these, it's so dangerous where they're doing these bumps on the apron, and just these are so dangerous that I pop on like simple stuff. You know what I mean? And I think it's funny. I'm not, it was hilarious. That's why I think it's funny. But I'm here to support every platform of wrestling. I'm not a snob about any of them. They're all, you got to support each other. We're all.
You have a lot of wrestling fans like, oh, AEW versus WWE,
I hear that all the time, and I'm like going, oh, see, I'm not here to bury a company. I'm like asking the wrong question, and I'm like going, and I try so hard not to roll my eyes and not sell it on my face. Just going when people ask me, kind of to bury something, and I'm like, I'm not here for that, dude. I go, I'm sorry, you got the wrong girl. I'm like, you know what I mean? But I'm excited to watch the AEW, the pay-per-view that they sold like almost 80,000 tickets. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see that, only one match announced and stuff like that. But we're here to support each other. Like we're not, that's what's hard about doing conventions and wrestling signing. There's so much negativity in smart marks, as people know, smart marks. And you still have to watch it, as a fan, man, geez, just, enjoy what you're watching. And, we're human. We make mistakes. We sometimes don't get to pick our angle. Why are they doing this? It's not our doing. I'm not going to chime in on that. And I'm like, at least I had a match out there and I got to work. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Exactly. I get it.
Yeah.
I definitely get it. So obviously you said you want to, be a coach and whatnot in wrestling in the future. Obviously, we know you have other journeys out there as well that you do. We know that you do podcasting, and you recently did some mocap for the WrestleCode video game. Can you tell us about that?
The virtual basement. Yeah, WrestleCode. Yeah. Oh my God. I thought I still got it. You can tell my lip still. This doesn't raise. Still, it's damaged. I did my leg flip over the top rope, and we put the crash pad, and it's too high. I've never done it with a crash pad. My face got stuck under the bottom rope and the padding. But besides that, great people to work with. I flew out there. I chose to go do my entrance, and when I was on WWE video game, it was someone else superimposing my body language, and I wanted my entrance. I wanted my mannerisms and my moves for me to do it. You know what I mean? And exhausting day. Don't get me wrong, because again, I'm not in the ring actively. You know what I mean? But it was really cool experience to see how it's done, wearing all the lights like on you. And, big shout out to Kat and Tony that were on, kind of the stunt people that took my moves and took my punches. I was like, hey, I'm just warning you, my punches make contact. You are gonna have a mark. I go, this was how I did it back in the day. And I was nervous about doing that because I'm like, am I still in practice? But it was amazing. And I'm very thankful about doing that. I'm excited to see the finished product. But thank you to Virtual Basement for having me out there. Yeah, wrestling is real, goddamn it.
I did see the mocap for it, and I thought it was awesome. I know I saw you do the
Widow's Peak. Right?
I saw you do the Widow's Peak move on the mocap. I was like, oh, this game's gonna be amazing. And looking at the roster, it looks really good. Like,
oh my god, so it's yeah. DDP was the one that called me because they kept on reaching out to me, and it's like getting podcasters reaching out to you. You get so much in your email, and it sometimes goes to spam. Most of it goes to spam. I have 3 emails that go into one email, so I don't know what's what, and I'm like, you give up, like you're like, it's all this junk, right? How to get out of debt and all this kind of stuff, you know. And DDP, I was like, oh my god, DDP just called me. What the heck oh no, did I say something? Or like, you know, of course you're like going, why is DDP? And he was like, hey, you need to be part of this video game. They reached out to me. He goes, I did it, and RVD did it, and like there's a lot of main eventers on there, and I'm excited to see the final product. I even had my makeup done, and I go, well, do you need to take a picture of how I made makeup? And he goes, oh no, you just send a picture when you get home how you want your makeup done. I go, I didn't have to put my makeup on for this walkthrough. I'm sweating my ass off. Yeah. So yeah, but it was really cool. Great family. And that Widow's Peak, her boyfriend taught her how to take the move. I just had to do it once. And I go, oh my God, I can't believe you know how to take it. She goes, well, my boyfriend Tony went over it and over and over. I didn't want to mess it up for you. And so I didn't want you to have to pick me up over and over again for the video game. And so we just did every move once, except that leg flip over the top rope. That's me. I want to do my leg flip.
Yeah, I mean,
we age, we get a little older. So yeah.
Yeah. And I get it. Video games is the future of, I think, honestly, wrestling just in general. Like, getting to play as wrestlers that you grew up watching and different things like that and whatnot. And obviously, us being a podcast, podcasting is growing. So I know that you started a podcast with SoCal Val and Mickey James called Grown Ass Women. Can you tell us what made you 3 want to come together to do the podcast?
Mickey was wanting to do it with another girl. I believe it was Alicia Fox. And then Alicia Fox was done with TV and all that kind of stuff. She started talking to SoCal Val, and she goes, you know, we need to have Lisa. That's my real name, you guys. I'm stooging myself off. But we need to have Lisa on the show. They sent me an audio message, and I'm like, heck yeah. So we did a little meeting, FaceTime meeting. And let's do it. Let's start it. Let's do it. It was during COVID. What are we going to do? And to talk with 3 friends, that's pretty easy. And then we're like, we need to make it different. We wanted to do pajamas, drinking wine, and not just talking about wrestling, just life in general. And most of our friends, all the wrestlers we have on the show, want to be part of it. I just went to a convention this last weekend. I forgot what it was called. Oh my God. Where was I at?
I know San Diego passed recently. I'm not sure if that was it.
No. It was I was in Charlotte. So I just know the people that brought me in. Southern Wrestling Autographs brought me in, and 3 people came up. I was kind of insulted that you haven't asked me to be on the podcast. And I'm like, some of the people, you're just like, I know you're busy. Like I see you on social media. You're like going, they got this going. You're like, maybe this is not a good time to ask me on the podcast. But all these people are reaching out to us. I can't believe you have not asked me to be on the podcast. So for us to get a guest, it's nice because they actually enjoy what we talk about, and it's not to shit on wrestling podcast, but it's not about wrestling. It's like, hey, do you remember this time on the road when we were driving and we went through this drive-through, like things that people don't know? And you know, a lot of us, you know, we're with each other more than our own family. So it's just like, it's stories that people really
look forward to.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a step away from wrestling, and it's like, remember when
it's hanging out.
Right.
It's almost like eavesdropping on a Zoom chat while we're just talking about old times. You know what I mean? You know, but we still do have to plug in, hey, what you got going on in the future? Like, would you like to plug in anything? Most of them say, no, I'm on social. They can follow me on social media. I don't need to plug anything in. I just wanted to chit chat with you girls. So yeah, which is nice. You know what I mean? We have a couple amazing guests coming up, which people have been asking about, and saw them at a couple of shows. Like, I'm so insulted you haven't asked me. You know, sorry, we don't know if you're busy or if you're doing podcasts.
Because you don't want to bother, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, yeah. And especially your friends. I don't want to reach out to you to say, hey, how you doing? Would you like to be on a podcast? Oh, you just reached out to me not to see how I'm doing, to be on your podcast. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't want to overstep your boundaries with your
I'm like that with my mentality too. Like I think that
because you don't want to bother them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You don't want to be like, hey, yeah, you want to how are you doing? Oh yeah, you want to be on this? Oh, are you just calling me to do this or that? Yeah, you don't want to be like, I get it.
Exactly.
I definitely understand.
Yeah. It's hard. Even for us. And you guys are podcasters. It's even difficult for us, by the way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, we thank you again for taking the opportunity to chat with us. As wrestling fans, it's truly an honor to have you on the show.
Definitely.
It's for me, it's like, well, for us, I think it's surreal to interact with someone who has made an impact in the wrestling industry. So we thank you again, for taking the time, because
thank you. Sorry for our faux pas at the beginning. We're still learning this technology. Right? But
that's all right.
And also too, you got to remember too, when you're interviewing us, we're human.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know what wrestlers you've interviewed, but I don't know if anybody gave you a hard time, but I think people forget that we're pretty normal and down to earth, and we're like, for us that are not in the industry anymore, even though we're doing Comic-Cons and signing, and I still feel part of it still. I'm paying bills. I'm hustling Comic-Cons. I'm like, I have my vet appointment coming up, like we experience the same thing as you guys. And it's surreal. No, I'm human. I'm a fan like you guys. So you don't have to be too nervous when you're interviewed. Honestly, but we think that we thank you for that though. It's very nice.
No, our even before we did the episode, I spoke to Henry, and I was just like, all right, let's make sure she feels as comfortable as possible, because we don't want to bombard her with all these like uncomfortable questions or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, so, and funny thing is too, I told him before the podcast, we always treat everybody like as a regular person, regardless who they are. I was like, they just want to be just treated like that. I was like, they don't want any special treatment. They want to just be treated how you
but you aren't like walking on eggshells going like, I don't want to piss her off. Question, like a certain question, like she doesn't really want to talk about or something. Is there something specifically, they don't want to talk about?
Exactly.
And that kind of, because you're always like, because we all get talked to. They're like, hey, have you done this podcast? How were they? Did they do clickbaits? We all talk to each other. Don't do this one. This was terrible. They didn't have questions. They got me confused with another. They thought I was Ivory. Like that, which I'm very flattered. Or like, we all talk to each other, even on appearances. Like, hey, did you do this Comic-Con or this WrestleCon or the Fan Fest? How was it? Like, should I do it? Like, we all talk to each other. You know what I mean? Right. So you just don't want to piss off somebody, because you're not going to get another guest. Like, they're like, oh, I want Candice Michelle. And then Candice Michelle will reach out to me. Did you do this one? Oh yeah, they were great. They were really actually very talkative, and they were ready with the questions. And so it wasn't boring. There's some podcasts we do that people, they freeze. You know what I mean? I think it's harder. Like, thank God you guys are a duo, but I think it's harder for one person to do it, because they might be shy or like, or Uber fan, and they're scared to talk to you, that kind of stuff. But most of us are programmed just to turn on and go, oh man, this guy's not good at this. Okay, let me just talk wrestling. For me, I can just talk about it all the time, right? So if I can tell when someone's uncomfortable, but like I've had some where I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not prepared. You know what I mean? So, okay, I need to turn it up. I gotta turn it up. And but then after that podcast, when I had to turn it up so much, I tell the podcasters.net, podstars.net, I like, don't book me for 3 days. I go, that one was torture. I go, I need to sleep in tomorrow, because it was like, so.
Right. No, because you have those, so professional. Yeah, you have those podcasts that like throwing out controversial questions in order to make headlines.
Yes.
And it's like, that's the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that your guest is as comfortable as possible, so that maybe in the future you can have another episode, or or you can gain
or like, hey, we're interested in this person. Can you tell them that we were okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for those listening,
guys, hey, for you guys not downloaded to Sunset Flip Wrestling, shame on you. I'm gonna come through this camera and widow's peak your butt. So subscribe, download, likey, click that bell icon. You know what to do. We
appreciate having you here, and you can listen to the audio version of this episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to see the full video, check us out on YouTube. You could also check out our link tree on the bio to access past episodes and other social media pages. We'd like to also thank podstars.net for making this all happen.
Yeah.
So I recommend everyone to check them out. So that will do it for us at the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast. We appreciate everyone for tuning in. Everyone, Lisa Marie Varon.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for talking wrestling with me, baby.
Thank you. You know it. Till next time.